Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to share with you this light summer inspired makeup look. This is the makeup look I have been wearing that is very lightweight, easy to throw on, and it just feels light and bright and ready to endure a high heat day. Without further hesitation, let's get into creating this summer makeup look. To get started with today's makeup, I'm going to start by prepping my base for the makeup, and I've already got some product on my face. I've done my morning skincare several hours ago. I'm wearing the Cell Fusion C Laser Sunscreen 100 with an SPF 50 plus and a PA rating plus. This is a combination chemical and mineral sunscreen. Normally I really like this, but over the last couple weeks I have developed a little bit of extra color to my skin, and this leaves a little bit of a slightly lavender white cast on my skin. Right after this dries down, I have been applying just a small amount of my Eldridge Seamless Skin Tint in the shade T3 just to knock back the white cast. And that is what I have on my face right now, with a little bit of the Guerlain KissKiss Bee Glow Oil in 258 Rose Glow on my lips. Let's proceed with getting the makeup on. We are approaching the end of spring and going into the summer season. And for summer, I tend to like my makeup to be a lot more lightweight, easy, and breezy. To prep my base, I'm going to use the Eldridge Seamless Skin and Makeup Mist. Going to use a little bit of the Eldridge Elevated Glow highlighter in the shade Pink Moon. You can easily use your fingers, brush, or sponge, and I'm using the It Cosmetics number 7 dual-ended brush. Since it is a little bit warmer outside, my skin's prone to getting a little bit more oily, a little sweaty. I like to keep any type of highlight perimeter of my face high up on the top of the cheekbones to add just a little bit of luminosity. Then I like to add a little bit of brightness under my eyes. I'm using a product I purchased while I was in the US, Catrice Under Eye Brightener Instant Await in the shade 010 Light Rose. I saw this mentioned on Stephanie Marie's channel. Anything I've tried that she's recommended for an under eye product, I've really enjoyed. So I wanted to give this a go. It's really pretty. This does feel quite emollient. I don't foresee this being drying at all. If you are really oily or you feel like things under your eyes tend to crease and smudge, this might be a little too emollient for you, but you could easily set it down with powder. That's really pretty, and I like the shade of this corrector because it's one of those shades that I could either wear it alone or I could use it like I am today as a corrector. I'm going to brighten up a little bit around my mouth. I'm going to try using the number 1 de Chanel Red Camellia Skin Enhancer, the shade Soft Pink. I'm going to say this came out fall of 2023. I purchased it very quickly, and almost as quickly as I purchased it, I realized I wasn't a huge fan because this isn't exactly what I had in mind when I ordered it so impulsively. I was expecting this to be more like the LeBlanc Rosy Lighting Drops, and this to be more of like a liquid highlight that just embellished the skin and gave it a little bit of a pearlescent glow. This is more of like a color corrector with a little bit of a pearl running through it. It's going to help brighten, it's going to help illuminate, but more so by neutralizing any of those unwanted purple or blue tones. Think of this almost like as an anti-fatigue base. This is something I've been spending what feels like the last year trying to figure out how I like it most, because if I don't play with trying to use it different ways, it's gonna sit in my drawer, it's gonna go bad, and Chanel products aren't cheap. I think this product was around $90. I wanna get my money's worth out of it, and using just a little bit around my mouth to neutralize any of that unwanted shadowing has been a nice help. I feel like though, going into the depths of summer when it's really hot, really humid, this might be a little too light reflective, a little too glowy, but for now, since we're late spring, early summer, this is going to be a nice product to use. And then under my eyes, since I did use that more creamy Catrice base, I'm going to use the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Vanilla, and I'm going to use the smaller end of my It Cosmetics brush. I like to use this just here on the innermost portion of my eye where it meets the side of my nose. and then work a little bit here in the outer corner of my eye, and just under the arch of my brow to act as a little bit of a natural highlight. I don't know what it's been, but over the last year, traveling and just being a little bit more lazy with my choice of brushes, I have really fallen in love with the It Cosmetics double-ended foundation brush. I've mentioned in another video, the larger size of this brush is very reminiscent of the BK Beauty 106, which I really love. That's the round top foundation brush. I really love that brush. In my perfect world, when I have all of my brushes cleaned just the right times, I would have this brush in my travel bag or my everyday bag, and then have my BK Beauty 106 here at my desk. Seldom do things ever go as we plan, and I just kind of find myself using this one, and then I'll reach for the BK Beauty when this is dirty and it's in need of a proper washing. Then I'm gonna use the larger size of my brush just to diffuse and blend out any seams. I could leave this here as a base because I did have a light layer of the Eldridge skin tinted. My skin's been in a really good place. I don't feel like I need a ton of coverage, but for my own peace of mind, I like to add a little bit of something all over just to give my skin a little bit more of that uniform look that I enjoy. MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation in the shade N4, and I'm using the MAC 150S powder brush. For my all over base, I keep this very, very casual and non-formulaic. Stipple all over, and once I've kind of made my way all the way over, I will buff. And when you feel like you need to pick up a little bit more product, tap off the excess, and then resume the buffing motion. Little bit of a life update. I recently got back from Virginia. I got to spend time with my niece. It was so great to finally meet her. She just celebrated her 1-month birthdays. I'm just so excited to see her continue growing up and just how she develops and becomes her own person as the years progress. And my mom had her big reconstructive surgery. Everything seems like it's going really, really well. So I'm so glad everything has just gone so well over the last 2 years, and this last visit went really well, and now I'm pretty much back in Toronto until we go back for the holidays. So I'm excited to see how having more time will affect my YouTube channel, see how I can maybe produce more content or keep with some upload schedule I already have, just maybe improve the quality, change my topics around a little bit. Leave me any suggestions that you have in the comment section below, because I really would love to create more content that you want to see at home. There's a light layer of my MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation on. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Highlight. This is in the shade Pearl. I'm going to use the It Cosmetics number 7, and I'm going to work that into the brush and apply just on the high points of my cheeks. You could apply this with a little bit more intensity using your fingers. I apply it the same way I pretty much apply all of my products, and I always work it onto the back of my hand. And I saw a trend where people are talking about, they're calling it like priming the brush. I don't remember who they said was the originator of this tip, but this is something I was taught in makeup school, where you really want to work your products into your brush. That way you can apply more of a diffused layer on the skin, because it's always easier to build up than it is to take down product most of the time. I really like working these thin layers, and you can get away with a lot more makeup than you might think, because if something looks a little too strong for you, if you work it in a thin layer on the skin, that pigment will diffuse and shear out, so you can get more of a light wash of color. So if you ever see something that's a little bit more intimidating, try thinning it out, then applying it to the face. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what you can achieve. Speaking of products that have a lot of pigment that sometimes I struggle with, I am going to be using the Gucci bronzer in number 1 Fair. And this is a bronzer, I love the tone, but sometimes it can just be a little too impactful for my skin. I'm going to take my MAC 150S, the brush I just used for the powder foundation, and I'm going to work it into the palm of my hand. With bronzer, I tend to do this routine twice. So I will work the product into the pan, work it on my hand, work it into the pan again, then work it into my hand, roughly stipple over where I want my bronze to be. I like my bronze to be a little bit more on the high points of my cheeks, thinking very much as where the sun would hit me when it's coming down. A little bit over the nose, a little bit over the chin, and I always bring down the neck just to keep things feeling more cohesive. And then I'll go back to my hand, pick up any of that residual bronzer that's on my hand, and then give it one more buff over. I feel like that gave me just a nice kiss of color. Since I'm wearing white today, I am going to wipe my hand off, get any of that residual bronzer off, because the last thing I want is a orangey brown bronzer stain on one of my shirts. Next, I'm gonna apply some eyeshadow, and this is a collection from one of my favorite K-beauty brands, Dasique Romantic Blossom Collection, which I've read is like their light Southern color palette collection, and it is so beautiful. Look at this really beautiful color story. You have these really beautiful muted light pinks, and it's the color palette that makes me so excited to wear. So we're gonna mix with a few of these different shades and see what we can come up with today. I'm gonna start off with my BK Beauty A501, and I'm gonna start with this mid-tone, quite similar to my skin tone. So I'm just gonna kind of haphazardly apply all over my eyelid, working just up past my socket line. And I want to do 2 layers of this shade just to give me a nice opacity on the eyelid. I really enjoy using shades like this as a base for eye makeup because it's got enough of that pink tone in it to help brighten up the eye look and neutralize some of the unwanted blues and purples in the eyelid. So it's almost like a priming color corrector for your eyelids if you want to keep things very, very minimal. Next, I'm going to use the more light matte pink in the top middle, and I want to use this just with the point or the top of my A501 brush, and I'm going to take this just on the upper edge, a little bit here on the inner corner. This is almost act like a matte highlighting shade, and it's just going to help soften that gradient between the first eyelid and my skin tone while giving it a little bit of brightness. Now I'm going to switch over to a large fluffy brush. This is the BK Beauty A503. I cannot resist this really lovely, slightly deeper matte pink. And I want to use a large fluffy blending brush because this doesn't allow me to apply it more as a sheer wash over the lid. And if I want more impact, I can always continue to build it up. But my first layer, rather be safe than sorry. And it's fascinating. The shade is almost mirroring the shade of my lips with the Guerlain lip oil on, so that's really fun. That could be an easy look all on its own. Just have a really monochromatic eye and lip with something kind of in the middle on the cheeks. I do feel like you need some type of mascara just to help anchor the look in. Now I want to use this slightly rose gold shade here, and I want to just pat it right over the ball of my eye just to add a little bit of brightness. And that's just gonna add a nice light reflect to that, so without being too glittery or too stark for every day. I'm gonna switch over to a small pencil brush. This is BK Beauty A504. I'm going to use the shimmery taupe shade. I'm gonna use this as like a haphazard eyeliner. So with a fluffy pencil brush and just run right under my lower lash line, back and forth, back and forth. And then I'm gonna use the A501, which is the very first brush, and where I have a little bit of that light pink left over, I'm gonna run that right under just to help blend it a little bit more. This is like your no eyeliner effect. Before I do my cheek makeup, I don't know if I found this on Instagram or TikTok or where I came across this, but it was something that seemed like a great idea, so I started trying it and now I really enjoy it. But that is using a little bit of a pink powder to lightly set under my eyes and then apply any of my blush products on top. And I just feel like the tint from the pink powder helps to transition from my skin tone and my under eye into my cheek color. So I'm using the LA Girl Crow Setting Brightening Loose Setting Powder, and this is in the shade Soft Pink. It comes with a great little round puff, but I like the slightly pointed puff, and this is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Sponge. So after I pick up the powder on my sponge, I like to work it into the sponge by working onto the palm of my hand, then slightly roll and press under my eye, starting at the inner corner of my nose and working my way out. The next step isn't necessary, it's just something I like to do as like a good measure. I'll take a small brush, this is a Real Technique setting brush, and a touch more of that pink powder, and then swipe over. Where I pressed it in with my puff. I feel like sometimes a velour puff can just give you a little too much powder under the eyes. So I like to use a little bit more to go through and buff and sweep away in the excess. And now we are nice and bright and set under the eyes. So we can go with one of my favorite products, which is blush. Actually, before I go with blush, I'm gonna apply all of my lip shade just to make sure I don't add too much color to the lips and cheeks. Went ahead and blotted away any of the remaining Guerlain lip oil. And now I'm gonna use one of the Dasique water stains. And I will have the shade name linked down below, but this is from the Romantic Blossom collection, same as the eyeshadow palette. I love this shade so much. It's very much like your lip color, but brightened. Your lip color, but enhanced. And within the Dasique lip tints, there are two different shades. There's a slightly warmer shade and there's a slightly cooler shade. I went with the warmer shade and I really, really love it. For blush, I'm using a blush I purchased when I was in Virginia at Target. Well, people, Superpowder blush, the shade Guava Twist. I don't know if I was on Pinterest or where I was at, but I read that this was a really great light summer blush shade. And you know I love seasonal colors. When I read something was perfect for my seasonal color palette, I had to try it out. Picking it up on my It Cosmetics angled blush brush, working it into my hand and stippling it on high on the cheeks. And even though I've really sheared down this blusher on my hand, it still has quite a bit of pigment. So you can see it's quite saturated. Want to tone it down so it doesn't go too strong on my cheeks. And I don't know what it is about this blush brush. This is probably the oldest blush brush I have in my collection, and it doesn't get any better than this blush brush. I felt like all throughout the late 2010s into the early 2020s, I was searching for the perfect blush brush because my previous favorite blush brush was one from Sonia Kashuk in the range she had at Target. And I remember I purchased it in like 2008 or 2009 because Allure had it in the Best of Beauty Allure Awards. It was the perfect blush brush. I had not met a blush brush that I liked as much as that brush. And then it just started getting older and it was starting to lose a few hairs. So then I think it was around 2018 when I started looking for a new blush brush, and that is when I found this blush brush, and it is just my favorite. There are some other brushes that are really, really beautiful. That is just my favorite. I feel like it gives the most easy wash of color, and it also works exceptionally well with liquid and cream formulas. Also from the Dasique Romantic Blossom collection, they offer a 3-piece set, which is where you get the eyeshadow palette, a limited edition cheek color, and lip gloss. I purchased the first eyeshadow palette originally off Amazon, and then I acquired the 3-piece set later on. So I ended up gifting the secondary eyeshadow palette to one of my friends and hung on to the cheek color and the lip gloss. I'm going to use the light pink Dasique Glow Cheek in the shade Sweet Sakura. Same It Cosmetics blush brush. Tap off the excess and apply this on top, almost like a highlighter. That is so pretty. If you are much deeper skin tone than I am, this might pull a little chalky. Or even if your skin tone's warmer than mine, I'm more on the neutral cool tone side. If you are someone with a warm skin tone, this might pull a little gray because this is quite a white-based pink, but this is really pretty. Buffing it just kind of really brings up that subtle pearl. It almost reminds me in a way of the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Mood Exposure, but it has more of that pink base versus that more translucent setting powder finish. And we have the gloss, which I will again have the shade name listed down below. It has one of the little rubber spatula applicators. I really like how all these different facets of the look are playing together. We need to finish off the look with mascara, and currently I've got 3 mascaras going and I love them all, and they're all from North American drugstore brands, which is phenomenal because for the longest time I've really been in love with my K-Beauty mascaras. My first layer is the Essence Lash Princess mascara in the shade Black Brown. This is a really, beautiful mascara, but if I do not wear something on top of it that is waterproof or water resistant, it smudges really, really bad. So I use this as my base layer. And before that dries, I use the Maybelline Sky High in the Burgundy Haze shade, and I go right over top of that. Alright, next I like to use a little bit of my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And then a little sneaky trick I've been doing just at the very last step is using my Pat McGrath Labs Under Eye Blurring Powder with a large fluffy blending brush, and I go right around my crease line, both upper and lower, and this helps to blur out any type of creasing you might have while adding an extra layer of powder to help prevent it. But it also, where it has these soft blurring particles, it just helps to go through and soften out any of your transitional tones that you have in your eyeshadow. Last steps in my makeup or beauty routine is adding a fragrance, and I recently got to add one of my wish list fragrances to my collection, and I'm so excited. This is from the brand Xerjoff, part of the Casamarati 1888 range, Dama Bianca. I love the presentation because when you slide it open, here is the beautiful fragrance, and I've worn this once already and I haven't taken off the little protective wrapper on the tassel. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. Dama Bianca lives up to everything I wanted. I've heard a lot of this perfume all over social media. It has been on my wish list for such a long time, but it is so expensive. Here in Canada, I think it goes for like $390 at places like Niche Essence and Etiquette. It's really beautiful, but I wasn't ready to spend almost $400 on a single perfume. Oh my goodness. This is so good. Joma Shop was having a sale. I believe it was their Memorial Day or Father's Day, and I ended up purchasing this perfume with duties and import fees for about $250. This to me is going to be like a vanilla scent that you can wear all year. If you are someone like me who is not a huge fan of those traditionally really sweet gourmand vanillas, you might love this. This reminds me of something like, it's almost sinful to say what it reminds me of because the price points are so vastly different, but if you like things like Ariana Grande Mod Vanilla or the new Sol de Janeiro number 59 Delicia Drench, you might really like this. Now compared to those two have more of a warm, gourmand, almost woody vanilla scent to them, where this one has a little bit more of a fruity, brightening opening. It's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit more fluffy than those two. If you had to compartmentalize the fragrances by like seasons, you would put something like, let's say, Philosophy Fresh Cream Warm Cashmere is like a winter vanilla. Then I would put in maybe Mod Vanilla by Ariana Grande as spring. Xerjoff would be the summer, and then autumn would be the Sol de Janeiro number 59 Delicia Drench. They're just different levels of heaviness, but they all have that similar vanilla fluffy quality, with going into more of like the Xerjoff being slightly more sparkly, because I do believe this has some like fruity notes in the initial opening. The other day when I wore this, I will say that it is quite different than any of the other Xerjoff fragrance I've noticed. Most Xerjoff fragrances have a very bright, very bombastic opening, and they have a very distinct scent bubble around them. You are going to smell them quite a bit away from you. Dama Bianca it has power to it, it has projection to it, it has sillage, but it is a little bit more intimate. When we were on holiday, when we were at the Harrods perfume hall on the upper floor and going through all the different little boutiques, when we were in the Xerjoff boutique, is the first time I got to try Dama Bianca on my skin, and I fell in love with it right then and there. My husband fell in love with La Capitale, and that one is a lot more fruity, it's a lot more sweet. It had a little bit more of a syrupy aspect, but it wasn't too feminine and it wasn't too masculine. It was a kind of right in the middle, kind of more anyone can wear it type of fragrance, which may mean to me all fragrances wear whatever you want. This one though, it does have a little bit more of a light fluffy quality. It's not going to be an in your face kind of scent. For the high price point of Xerjoff, this feels like a vanilla scent that you could wear every single day. This would be a office appropriate vanilla. I really love this. I feel like you could wear this any time of the year, maybe in the dead of summer, maybe think about late July, August, maybe even early September when it's really hot, really humid. Trying to wear this during the day might feel a little too sickly sweet, but early summer, late spring, I feel like this is a nice warm weather vanilla. And when it is really warm outside, you can easily pair something like this on the body and then use more of like a bright floral hair mist and just create a really beautiful kind of tropical drink atmosphere scent story to your overall being. I just think it's so much fun, and I am so happy I finally have Dama Bianca in my collection, and I'm really happy I got it for a great discount. I'm so happy with it. And the other day when I wore this, I got about 8.5 hours out of this perfume. I will say at the end of the day, the 8-hour mark, you do have to smell it against your skin, and it is a little bit more of a slightly fruity, floral, vanillic skin scent, which I really love. My husband could still smell it loud and clear, but for me, it definitely felt more of like a very intimate skin scent. But I am so happy with this. I cannot wait to play with some different body lotion layering combinations. So far, I've only worn this over my CeraVe unscented body lotion, so I'm very excited to see how this layers with some of my fragrant body lotions that I really love. That is going to be all for today. I'm so excited to get more content out to you in the upcoming weeks, and I also signed up for my first ever like beauty box subscription. I'm trying Scentbird. I keep seeing all different influencers I follow rave about Scentbird, so I got my own membership and I'm gonna try out some perfumes because $18 a month is way better than spending $200+ a month on a new fragrance. So I'm very excited to see how that goes and maybe knock a few things off my wish list without having to spend the full retail price. I will see you later. Let me know what is going on with you in the summer weeks. What's your makeup routine been like, and are there any new summery fragrances that you are excited to wear and experience all summer long? Until we see each other again, you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.